Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I've got my co-host, Patrick.
Hey.
And in this episode we are talking about the second volume of Fruits Basket. So we're just, picking up where we left off earlier in this month. We're going to talk about each of the characters one by one to start off, and after that we're going to touch a little bit on the Zodiac again, see what types of things this volume brought to that aspect of the story. But yeah, we'll get there. So as far as the characters go, I guess we should start with Toru Honda, since she is the main protagonist. So if I go first, I just had there was one thing that I thought was pretty nice about her this volume, where or I guess there's two things that kind of go hand in hand in a way, or like they're tied together in some aspects. So in the first volume, we got a pretty good image of Toru as being like this very strong person who, has gone through a lot of hardships, but she deals with it, and she's strong enough to not seem very bothered by it. Like that's at least the picture I had of her after only having read the first volume. And in the second volume, it kind of continues a bit in that direction, and we also see from the some of the Soma boys, that she they also perceived her somewhat like that, and I think it is true to a big extent. And we had this, there was a pretty good like life lesson thing through her, that basically she's happy for what she has and she doesn't necessarily mourn over what she doesn't have, which I think is something a lot of people can benefit from, learning. But toward the end of the volume, we, at the New Year's thing, when the Soma, well, Yuki and Kyo come back home, and she's alone there, and she's crying in front of her mother's photograph. We see that she obviously isn't as, I guess, strong as she had seemed prior to that, but um, that said, though, I still think she is a really strong character. Uh, you know, but she needs to be able to open up about her emotions with her friends. With the Soma boys. I think, for me, at least right now, that's something I am very excited to see her maybe learning, and like, yeah, basically learning to be more comfortable around, like, about that.
She definitely has a lot of character development to go through still, but
Yeah, I can only imagine. We're very early in the story.
yeah, but which is good.
Uh huh.
It's good for your main protagonist to have room to develop along the way.
Yeah. So yeah, like I'm very excited for that. Like, and it's something that I can relate to as well on a personal level, because I know I can be awful at opening up about things
Yeah.
uh, that's troubling me. Um, so yeah, it has me very intrigued here. Do you have anything more on? I do have a few more things on Toru, but I would like to give you the word as well for a moment. I feel like I've talked a lot.
Um, we do get a little bit more of a little bit of somewhat of a backstory for her
Mm,
when Utani and Hanajima come over to just check the house out, make sure she's being treated well there.
right.
Um, During the night, or when they're about to go to bed, they start talking to each other, and they bring up a hat that she has, and
Yeah.
we learn that, like, when she was younger, she was in a situation where she couldn't find her way home, and a boy with a hat helped lead her home, but she
Yeah.
never really got a good look at the boy.
Exactly. That was very mysterious. And I'm sure that's going to become like very relevant in some way later on. You probably already know it, but Kyo was listening in through, like, from the other side of the door in that scene, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I did get somewhat of a feeling that maybe he was that boy. or maybe like if it's not him, then maybe at least he knows who it might have been at the very least. But obviously I can't know anything for sure. That's just some speculations about that. But it was very nice to get that kind of little uh, start to something that might become important.
Yeah, and we do see some more of that kind of like her more strengths coming out in this volume also. Like going back to like when she and Kyo are making rice balls, and she mentions the plum analogy.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah,
It reminded me of the Fruits Basket game that was brought up in the first volume,
yeah,
where she was always the rice ball, and now you know. I mean, obviously it's a different thing, but it reminded me of that. Like the way she, apparently all her life she has. I don't know. Does she have a thing for rice balls? Like I don't know.
I mean they're a very popular food in
They,
Japan, so like
they are. I know. but, but I don't know. It's just fun how she, as a kid, she was referred to as a rice ball, at least in playing that game, and now as a teenager, I guess she refers to, or she makes that analogy about people being like rice balls, and if you have like some pickled plum on your back or whatever, those sorts of things. It
yeah,
was nice though. It was a really nice scene.
yeah,
Uh, we also get to know in this volume that a place she's been working at was apparently a Soma building, like all along, but it had another name on it or something like that.
yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, it wasn't like they didn't go too much into detail there, but it was something I took note of because it felt like maybe that's something that could be important later potentially.
Yeah, and it's her first interaction with another Soma member, but we'll get to that.
We will indeed. Do you have anything more on Toru?
I don't think so. I think that covers most of what was in the volume.
Yeah, I don't have anything more on her either. So let's move on to Yuki Soma, perhaps.
Yeah, Yuki. We found out that he doesn't really enjoy dressing like a girl, but he'll dress like a girl, if it makes people happy.
Yeah, yeah. That was really like I understand it's not fun for him, but the fact that he did it, for the others, I think that was really sweet of him.
Yeah,
Definitely. And he was able to cause like a diversion as well.
yeah,
I think when the rabbit kid became a rabbit and they needed a like diversion, he I can't remember what he did. He did something to like take all of the attention for a moment.
yeah. What happened was these all the other students were like, um, where. Why are this kid's like clothes on the ground and there's a rabbit? That's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Yuki was like, "Well, if that's weird, then I must be weird." And then everyone was like,
Right.
"No, Yuki, no, you're fine."
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah. Wow. That was good though. That was very nice of him to to be able to sort of make fun of himself in a way there, like basically bringing more attention to himself than he needed to, uh,
Yeah,
in order to help out the others, was pretty nice, especially since he was already uncomfortable in that situation.
yeah,
And he got to share a very nice little moment with Toru, when man, it's been like half a week since I read it now, and I'm looking at these notes. But I remember there was a nice moment when he was still in the dress, and he and Tori were like really close to each
oh
other,
yeah,
like looking at each other face to face, and yeah, that was pretty nice.
yeah. They were looking at each other face to face, and they were what was the line? They were like, oh gosh, I can't even remember now. But they
It
they,
was
they really
something,
talk about something nice.
yeah, and it felt a little bit romantic in a way. It was very sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess I ship them if that's stuff we do here on Umami Manga. Do we do shipping?
We do like hypothetical. Maybe this is what happens shipping because
Yeah.
I love hearing your theories about what's gonna happen in this.
Like at this point, as far as I mean, because I can only imagine there's gonna be some romance. It's a shoujo manga,
Yeah,
so and we have like this reverse harem scenario where I feel like it, Toru has to end up with one of these guys, maybe, right? Potentially, it's what at least what I'm feeling. And right now, Yuki is my number one pick, or my number one. Well, the one I feel makes more sense, the most sense for her to be with. Anyway, do you have anything more on Yuki?
um, I think we do get another character moment with him. It along with Kyo when, as you've already mentioned before, when they're going to the Soma State for New Year's, and then they're
Yes.
approached by Hanajima to, um, who basically is like, "Hey, this will be the first New Year's that Tori spends without her mother," and then they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh shit, um,
Yeah.
this was a mistake," and they run back to the house.
Which was really really nice. Um,
Yeah,
it was actually I felt like it's sort of mirrored the ending of the first volume, at least the way I interpret it. So because the first volume kind of ended with Toru choosing the Soma guys over her real family,
yeah,
and this one had the Soma guys choosing Toru over their real family. So
yeah,
it's just again it's one of those really nice things where we see these characters kind of choosing their own family in a way.
yeah.
So I really really like that. Um, I guess we are sort of on. We can segue this into Kyo since we're sort of this is related to him as well. If you wanna.
Actually, I do have one note about Yuki. One more note.
Okay,
Um,
do it to it.
they do also reference that he was kind of a sickly child.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. That almost slipped my mind.
yeah. I just want to reference that for future sake.
Right. That's. I'm sure that's important.
Yeah, maybe.
A frail little rat.
Yeah, but yeah, we can move on
Yeah.
to Kyo. Um,
Let's do it. Do you want to start?
yeah. In the same scene where in the same chapter where Yuki dressed like a girl, um,
Uh huh.
we find out that Kyo has very cat-like instincts. Um, when he wants to kind of get out of the like when like all those cats come into the classroom and
Yeah.
like surround him, which happens with the as we learn from this volume happens with Zodiac members. Their animals will be like attracted to them.
Right. Yeah.
Um, he decides to go to the roof, of course, because it's a high place and cats like high places.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That was a nice little touch. Yeah. I actually don't feel like there was too much on Kyo in this volume. At least I didn't take too many notes for him, other than we already talked about him and Yuki returning back to Toru.
Yeah,
Other than that, the only note I took on him was actually just about the, you know, pickled plum on like well we already talked about that interaction between him and Toru. But
yeah,
what I thought was very nice, at least from him in that scene, was that he actually returned the compliment to Toru, saying that she had a pickled plum on her back or something like that. Which I guess may be a little cheesy, but I thought that was really
yeah.
sweet.
It's a very cute, potentially romantic scene.
Potentially, Potentially. Although I thought the thing between Toru and Yuki was a little stronger, at least this volume. Of course, it remains to be seen. There's still a lot to go. But
Yep.
yeah, it was very nice to see him, you know, pay her a compliment like that.
And I think that's it about Yuki, right?
Kyo?
Or Kyo, yeah, Kyo. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Want to talk a little bit about Shigure Soma?
Yeah. A little bit. I didn't take
Yeah,
too many notes.
me neither. I
Sure.
actually just have one thing, and it's mostly like a little gag, really.
Yeah.
It was like the book he had written, Sigh of a Summer Affair, Volume One. It's just like he had written for his own amusements, apparently.
Shigure is a character.
I loved that. I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have anything more on him?
Um. We do see more of, or at least I can't remember if there was any of it in the first volume, but we do see him interacting with Akito a bit,
Right. Right.
and they seem kind of buddy buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think yeah, this volume was probably the first time we actually saw a little bit of interaction. In the first volume it
Yeah.
was only like implied that they had been in touch, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, this was a little bit more on that. Yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely get to Akito eventually.
Yeah.
Next name I have written up here is Saki Hanajima,
Yeah.
whom I actually ended up taking quite a lot of notes for, surprisingly.
Oh.
Um,
Okay. Excited to hear this
we
then.
we learned that she has a little brother
Oh
who
yeah.
looks supposedly very much like her, both like inside and out, kind of. Or well, I mean, we didn't get to actually get to know him, but yeah, there was a little bit of a thing there, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, and there was a little also there was a bit of um a joke when she looks towards Shigure and just says dog or something like that. And then it turns out there's just a dog behind him. But for a moment everyone's like, "Wait, did she
Yeah.
know? How does she know?" But then there was also the moment when she actually senses like a cat and rat aura from Yuki and Kyo.
Yeah.
So like and that one wasn't like a joke. That was like actual like her waves doing whatever.
Yeah.
Man,
Uh,
I'm super interested in like seeing what actually is she about. Like I'm interested in seeing if there's more to her, which I really hope there is.
yeah.
Um, I think she was also reading Shigure's private book, like the Sigh of a Summer Affair. I think we see her in the background in some panel where she's when she was visiting.
Yeah.
She was like flipping through the pages of that book. uh, and what else did I have on her? Oh yeah, there was also a funny little panel where she was like doing fortune telling at the festival. Like
Oh
there was just
yeah.
like one panel, but of course she would do
Yeah.
fortune telling. Like what else would she do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. I, I guess I kind of have a note on her too.
Yes,
Um,
sweet.
along with Utani. Um,
Hmm?
w- the, along with the character of Utani, Arisa Utani.
Yep.
Um, it's revealed that they made a vow on Kyoko's grave to be there when Turo needs them.
Right. That's right.
Um, because Turo was apparently there for them when they needed her.
Yeah. Which
That
is
was a
really
nice, sweet little scene.
very, very, very sweet. And it was also really nice to see, we already mentioned it a little bit when Saki meets up with the Soma boys when they're on their way to the family dinner.
Yeah.
And, how you know, knowing that Toru is going to need company over New Year's, she's and she's able to convince them to go back to her was such a good move on her part. Really, really
Yeah.
like that. I really like Saki Hanajima. I I don't know. She's cool. I like her.
Yeah.
Uh, Arisa, I didn't have as much written down on for this volume though.
Yeah. Yeah. She's in a little less, but
Yeah, I mean maybe she'll have more time to shine later on, but um, the only thing I wrote down for here was that I wrote maybe she has a thing for Shigure. It was just a vibe I got. I think it was in the scene when she and Saki were visiting. There was something. I think there was like some look or something that just gave me the potential idea that ooh, what if she has a thing for Shigure, or if she doesn't yet, because maybe that would be strange this soon, but maybe she will eventually have a thing for Shigure. I don't know, and I'm not basing this on anything solid at all. It was just a feeling I got.
interesting theory you have there. You may be somewhat correct.
Ooh, I don't know what that means, but hey, I'll take it. Um, do you want to move on to the next character or anything more on Arisa?
Yeah, I think we can move on to the next character.
Uh, let's do Momiji Soma.
Yes, Momiji, finally. Uh,
Yes, I think you sent me a picture of him before I started reading this.
yeah, Momiji
Uh,
is a really fun character.
right. Yeah. I did not know what to think of him at first. You know, I don't know. He was just this weird German person.
Yeah, half
I
German,
mean,
half Japanese.
right, yeah. Yeah, we learned that later, but like at first he just seems like a German or
Yeah, some
uh
weird German kid who's just hanging out at a like building that Toro happens to be working.
yeah. Yeah. And I guess he's supposed to be younger than the others, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It feels like that. Um but I didn't understand that at first. So I was just I think I was a little bit annoyed with him really, just because he acted in ways that I just thought was weird. But understanding that he's younger than the others, I guess that made me think a bit better of him since if he's not as old as the others, he isn't expected to act the same way as the others, I suppose.
yeah,
But I did think for him to be the rabbit did make perfect sense, really.
yeah, yeah.
So that was nice. It wasn't like Kagura in the previous volume where it was just like what? She's the boar? Like it wasn't that surprising.
And we'll get to another surprising Zodiac member pretty soon.
We
But
will. Do you have anything more on Momiji before we move on?
I, what I realized from like going through this volume is like Momiji does a lot of heavy exposition in the
Ah.
early part of the story.
Oh yeah, right. There was at least one that I know that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Where you're talking about Hattori's past,
yeah, and,
explaining that
yeah.
to Toru.
And he also kind of explains how the Soma estate works,
Oh yeah, that's right. That's true.
which we'll get into when we start talking about more about the Zodiac. But
Right. But yeah, like it is interesting. He does like all of that kind of explaining, even though he's so young. But I guess he's pretty smart. I guess.
yeah, he's been through some stuff, probably.
Pro- Probably. I wouldn't know. Um, but hey, want to move on to Hattori Soma?
Oh gosh, this
So, uh
I don't know about you, but this is like this is like w- one of the like first big emotional like story revelations in this series so far.
yes, for sure. I remember when we mentioned when Momiji told Toru about his past, like just hearing the explanation of it to me was really sad to hear. Like it was such a tragic tale, sort of, and but then at the end of the volume, we actually get to see it, and we get
Yeah.
much more details on it, and oh my god, that just broke my heart.
Yeah.
It was but I mean, I love it. It's so I thought it was really really well made, and I feel a bit boring. So small tangent. Whenever I get into a story and I become a fan of a story, whatever medium it is of, I tend to have a certain type of character as like usually is my favorite type of character in various stories.
Yeah.
And Hattori Soma fits that bill perfectly. He is literally the type of character that obviously would be my favorite character, and so of course he has become that, at least so far. Um, but I feel a bit boring and unpredictable when it comes to that, because I feel like it's so it's yeah, it's always the same sorts of characters that I fall for, or that
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
yeah
I can see it now, knowing more about you. Yeah, yeah. I can see that.
yeah. So yeah, I really really enjoyed his character and his backstory and all that
Yeah.
so much.
I guess we should explain more about his backstory since.
I mean, yeah, I mean, everyone listening have read the volume, but I mean, we can absolutely talk
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think talking about it, I think will help us get through this
yes.
emotional period in our lives after having read
Yeah. Yeah. So he is of the year of the dragon, supposedly, but he's a
Yeah.
seahorse,
Yeah.
which was interesting because, or at least I read in the translator's notes. You probably read them too.
Yeah.
At the end of the volume, that it comes from, in Japanese, it's kind of a play on words, because there's a term in Japanese, tatsu no otoshiko, something like that, which means both seahorse and illegitimate son of the dragon, apparently.
Yeah.
So there is, at least in the Japanese language, there is some kind of correlation between dragons and seahorses.
Uh,
Um,
Interesting.
so that was an interesting, yeah, like an interesting kind of explanation to that. But still a bit weird
Yeah.
to that he wouldn't be an actual dragon.
Yeah. So this definitely puts one of your theories. What do
Yes.
you say? Out of the water or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, last time I said, or I speculated that Akito, since he was like the head of the Soma family, that he would be the dragon, since that felt like, the one that would be the leader, just felt that way. But obviously I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
Uh, the other theory I had that has been proven wrong in this volume was that Kyo's master was the tiger, but I think that was proven wrong. I think we heard something about the tiger being a boy somewhere, or like a kid. But I guess it didn't throw it out of the window completely, but it just feels much less likely.
We'll get to that.
I'm sure we will eventually. but but yeah, Hattori followed, has been following Akito's orders on, how on erasing memories for a long time, and then he met this girl who was also of the Soma family, probably distantly,
Yeah.
like a distant relative, I imagine, but and they fell in love, and then she learned of his secret, and she
She
was
found out that he becomes a seahorse.
yeah, but she was totally cool with it. She was,
Yeah, yeah. Her first reaction is, "Do you need salt water or regular water?"
yeah, just like Toru,
Yeah,
which was that was really cool. Um, but yeah, then so that thing when he confronted Akito about marrying her or something like that, if I recall, and then but Akito refused, and he almost blinded Hattori on his right eye, one
one
of
of
his
his
eyes anyway.
eyes.
Yeah, one of his eyes, and and then the woman he was in love with blamed herself to the point where like she became mentally ill,
Yeah.
and eventually, ultimately, he erased her memories to save her.
Yeah.
Such a sad story. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Hattori and Kana kind of go through some bad stuff through their relationship.
Yeah. But she seems to be doing well now, though, because he got to see a
Yeah.
little bit of her.
Yeah. And
Obviously, it was not much, but.
yeah, it's mentioned that she's either engaged or married. Like,
Right. So she seems to be doing fine.
yeah, he's happy about that because
Yeah. Right.
when snow melts comes spring.
Yes. Oh my god. The volume ending with that was like. Obviously, the last chapter was super heavy, but it ended on somewhat of a lighter note with that, I think. I feel.
Yeah,
Because like amidst of that all of that sorrow that Hattori has been going through, he still believes in in happy endings. At least it feels that way. Um,
yeah.
the snow will always melt for spring to come.
Even
Ultimately,
if he doesn't
eventually.
want to like immediately admit it to himself
Right.
that he
Yeah.
believes that. Yeah,
Yeah. But I do still feel like even though he does have a lot of darkness in him and around him, he does believe that things will be good in the end at in some way,
yeah,
which I think is really really cool. It's a great mentality to have, and I
yeah,
and I think that's something that I can relate to as well. I'm also a believer of happy endings. Uh,
yeah,
so I think that's awesome.
yeah. It's as if this might be a theme of the series.
Right. Yeah.
Wink, wink. Looks at camera.
Uh, Too bad we don't have a camera. But oh yeah, one last thing that at least I had written down about Hattori is that he seemed to be proud of Yuki and Toru when he learned that they chose. Oh, sorry. He was proud of Yuki for choosing Toru over Akito at the end there.
Yeah,
There was something about that, uh, which totally respect him for. Like for him to basically support Yuki in that decision, in making that decision at the end there.
yeah. Tori definitely isn't a bad guy.
He seems like such a nice guy. I mean, he has a bit of a shady past with deleting, erasing memories and stuff, but he feels remorse over it,
Yeah.
and he has paid for it. So, yeah. Do you want to move on?
Yeah, I guess there's one more character to talk about who we've been referencing a lot here.
Yes, Akito Soma.
Yeah, Akito.
Yeah, he he seems to get sick a lot.
Yeah, because he wanted to go to the festival, but Victoria was like, "Yeah, no, you have a fever, you can't come."
Right. So, right, exactly. So and like especially with him, it seems like that's a pretty. He seems to be. It really seems like an issue for him, maybe somehow. Um, and I wonder, is his sickliness somehow related to Yuki's past illness? And could that have something to do with the supposed curse that plagues their family? I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of questions remain to be answered.
Because well, so we know that Akito, at least for now, I'm going to choose to assume that there is something related to those illnesses, um, and and that this illness is related to the curse because we know that Akito, at least out of the animals, Soma animal shifters that we know of, Akito is the one who is the most sickly, and we also know that he is the one who seems to be the most obsessed with breaking this curse, whatever exactly it is. Uh, so I think that would make sense if the illness is related to the curse. It makes a lot of sense for him to be that adamant about wanting to break it.
I guess that's one way to interpret it.
Well, it's the only way I can interpret it right now. Uh, because I mean, we learned that this curse has it's more than just being able to transform into animals,
Yeah.
or at least it seems that way. It's hinted that there's more to it than that. So maybe it's some kind of illness, potentially, maybe, or maybe something else, maybe something more. Obviously, I don't know, but yeah, I think it's interesting to think about. Very interesting to think about, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Anything more on Akito for you?
Let me just see if I took any more notes. I think we talked about everything.
Uh huh.
Oh, and it's also referenced that Akito is attempting to use Toru for something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I picked up on that as well, and apparently there's something about Toru. We don't know yet, but there's something about her that maybe she can be, have a hand in breaking the curse potentially.
Yeah.
And this is something that apparently Kana did not have, at least according to Akito, because I think he says when Hattori wants to marry her, Akito says something about like she's like yeah, like he wouldn't shouldn't spend like waste his time on her because she won't be able to help them. Like she won't be able to help them break the curse or something along those lines.
Mm.
So I wonder what makes Toru so special. Because really, she and Kana seem to be rather similar. At least the way that they both reacted to Hattori's seahorse. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot of questions. There really are. But
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I really like that sort of thing in fiction. So yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
excited to see how all of these questions will get answered eventually.
Yeah.
Uh, eh, Before we move on to the Zodiac, I think there was one other character, extremely minor though,
Oh
that
yeah.
and I wasn't able to pick up on his name exactly. Like I'm not sure if the name that I got is like a shortened version of a name, but Haku Soma.
Haru. Yeah.
Okay, I think it was written Haku, but maybe that like was just a nickname that someone called him.
Yeah. That's a character, and
Yeah.
he talks about wanting to have like fought Kyo using martial arts. Um, Doing the New
Ah,
Year's celebration, but Kyo didn't show up, and he was kind of disappointed.
right. Right. Yeah. Obviously, we didn't get very much on him, but yeah, I felt we might as well mention him at least.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He's part of the family, supposedly.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm.
I guess that's it for the characters, unless you have
Yep.
anything else.
No, I think that's about it.
Sweet. Then let's move on to the final topic of today, the Zodiac.
Yes, we learned quite a bit more about it. Um,
Yes, I feel like we touched on a lot of it, at
yeah.
least a bit already, but yeah.
Um, Momiji does explain to Toru how kind of the family estate works, where in the estate there's like a small like building area where the Zodiac members and these people who in the family members who know about the Zodiac live,
Mm,
and then there are the insiders, and then all the rest of the Sama family who like doesn't know about the Zodiac thing lives outside of that lives like outside of that building, and they're
right.
considered the outsiders.
Yeah. It's a weird, really weird thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and Yuki and Chigure are considered insiders, but Kyo is an outsider, even though he can turn into an animal.
Right, but probably because this animal is not part of the zodiac.
Yeah,
I can only assume. Uh, and there also seems to be a clear difference. I mean, there is a clear difference between Soma family members that do have an animal spirit and Soma members that don't have an animal spirit.
yeah,
Because I must have misinterpreted something in, although I guess they never went into depth, so I guess it makes sense that I did misinterpret this. But in the first volume, when we learned that when Kagura came to visit, and we learned that Soma members can hug each other without turning into animals. It's specifically Soma members with animal spirits,
yeah,
not just any Soma member, because obviously we learned with Kana and Hattori this volume that just being a family member isn't enough. You have to have an animal spirit in order to be able to hug each other without transforming. So
yeah.
yeah, I guess it just clarified that a bit in this volume.
Which might help to explain why the Zodiac members all seem to, at least that we've met, all seem to have been troubled in some way.
Right. Yeah.
And then, um,
And we already touched a little bit on like this zodiac curse, that
oh yeah,
it probably affects more than just animal transformations. And I
yep,
already theorized a little bit about maybe it's being some kind of illness or maybe something else, but yeah, there's something more.
oh
And you
yeah,
also mentioned the thing about animals flocking to the people with these animal spirits,
yeah.
which is
And
pretty interesting. I wonder if that's going to be like useful or if it's just like a humor thing.
yeah, and there's something related to Hattori and Kana that kind of comes up with this, where Hattori blames the curse and not Akito for Akito's actions when he.
Right. Right.
That could be something to do with the curse.
Definitely. And I feel like that still works with my theory where he doesn't blame Akito personally because he understands that Akito is so burdened by the curse, potentially.
Potentially.
Potentially. It's really just my speculation here, but it's the best thing I can come up with right now. And I feel like it adds up, at least based on everything that I know at the moment. Obviously, I'm going to try to update these speculations as we go.
Yeah, this is like my favorite part about this.
Nice. Yeah, I do enjoy it as well. I really, really do. I think maybe we're closing in on the end of the episode here, though.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
Um, I'm very happy that you've been able to meet Momiji.
Right.
Um, it's just Momiji is such a great character.
I'm excited to see more
And
of him.
I'm excited, yeah, for you
Yeah, like
too.
because I just based on this, I definitely enjoyed him, but I wasn't like wowed by him.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I'm excited to see more there.
Like, I can get why people might be turned off right away from Momiji because he does act kind of strange.
Yeah, I mean, at least at first, for sure.
Yeah.
But I did definitely warm up to him like throughout the course of the volume.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. And actually, I'm curious about something, and this might be a little bit of a hard question to answer, but if you would be able to, just based on these two volumes, if you try to forget everything that you know that happens later on, just based on these two volumes, do you have a favorite character?
Mm.
Just based on what you've seen and read in these two volumes.
Honestly, probably Toru.
That's a good one. She was definitely my favorite character after the first volume, and I still love
Yeah.
her. But I did mention that, yeah, Hattori has taken over that
Yeah,
spot for me now.
Toru's right up your alley.
He really is. Yeah. And I think, yeah, as I also mentioned, Saki Hanajima has grown a lot for me in this volume.
Yeah.
So I guess those three, like Toru, Saki, and Hattori, they're my three favorites in some
Cool.
sort of order. Obviously, Hattori is number one, but anyway, yeah, I'm excited to read volume 3 now.
Yeah. Yeah. So am I.
Sweet. So I guess that's it then. Thank you to anyone who listened to this, and I guess share your favorite characters in the comments if you're listening to this on YouTube, and or say anything else except for spoilers. Don't write spoilers, please. Thank you. And well, we'll see you all in next month. I think it will be for the volume 3 discussion. Bye bye.